let's now talk about Everactive a little bit, and
Sure.
let's talk about the culture. How many people you have? What's the culture like? Because you guys are coming from really different backgrounds, and how you instill the right culture into a business that started in a university and is now in the commercial space.
Yeah, great question. I love it. Right. So how many people? We're about 120 at the moment. And we, like I said, we started in 2012, but raised our Series A in 2014. And that was when we hired our first full-time employee, and have grown now to, like I said, about 120. And as far as culture goes, we take culture very seriously. Actually, from early on in Everactive, we took it upon ourselves to kind of analyze the culture in the company, but then go develop a culture document and culture statement for the company to, kind of act as guiding principles, or kind of to put down on paper how we want the culture of the company to be. One of the things that I really appreciate that our founding CEO told Ben and I a long time ago, when we first started, was, don't think of this as like building a big company like an Apple or a Google or an Intel. Think of this like building, a big company that you can shape in a way that, you would want to work at.
Interesting. The latest thing we've been doing a lot of work in is the employee retention credit refund from the CARES Act that allowed us for already recovered for businesses over $8.5 million. And that's going to come into about $260,000 worth of impact fees just from that one service alone. And so, when you think about that, that's a lot of money to give back to communities, and hopefully the business will also match it as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, they got a huge benefit from getting these refunds, and we can double the impact and really make a difference. And so, that's what it's all about.
It's great, and then I think it's a really good example of the evolved concept, and I'll just spend a moment on it because
please.
On the ERC piece is a little bit different. So it's not just a pool, but what we do is we want to make sure that since the client has been retaining employees, that's why they're receiving this money back. So we want to make sure that they look like a hero to their employees. And we teamed up with one of our friends at Good World, and they have this great program where literally on a little card or an app, they put a dollar amount that we specify for every single employee. And then the employee has the free choice of what charity that they want to contribute to out of that dollar amount. So for instance, if they got back an ERC credit of, $100,000, we put $5,000 on the cards.
Yep.
And again, that's out of our pocket. That's not out of the client's pocket. And then out of that, their team decides every person got X amount on the card divided up by 5,000, and then they get to choose. I think there's like 1.1 million charities or something.
So I sense the compassion that you have, and it's obviously a strong motivator for your professional self. How does that serve your business?
Quite a bit, because now I'm in a different seat to where I can give people opportunities to come into this business as a franchisee that otherwise would have never had it. So it's empowering because I feel like I have a key to be able to give somebody that's highly motivated, highly ambitious, and just needs a chance. And I want to be that person to give them that chance.
So here's a little bit of a deeper question. What makes you so successful at achieving growth in so many of your endeavors?
I think that probably the quote unquote superpower, as they like to call it, is building. It sounds like, I mean this one. Like some people just say it to like sound humble or whatever it is, but I really do mean this. It's building a team around you, a high performing team around you, a team of people that disagree with you, a team of people that are not afraid to share their strong opinions, but at the same time, also are able to disagree and commit, when necessary. So at Meetup, for example, our chief technology officer, this is the third company that Rajiv and I have worked in together. Our head of marketing, this is our second company that she and I have worked in together. And when you're able to kind of find a group of people that can work together as a high performing team it changes everything. And so I had that success in various different, and Investopedia were able to get the company to grow by 3.5 times, and to go from 11 million in revenue to 35 million in revenue, to grow profit, to have valuation of the company be worth 5x what it was initially. And a lot of it is because of the quality of the team that we built and the relationship. And sometimes the job as CEO is to be very involved, but ideally is to kind of pull back and kind of empower people to make the smartest, best decisions. And my job is to support
Anything
them.
else that your company's doing from a social impact standpoint?
Definitely. So for instance, so we donate to different, bodies and non-profit organizations. It could be, organizations we believe in, and it could be organizations that come to us and we decide to donate. And those are significant amounts every year. But I think one of the main things we're doing, we're manufacturers of engineered wood floors also, a very big manufacturer. And on every single box we sell of engineered floors, we, together with our partners, our factories, we planted a new tree. So for every box, that's a lot. For every one box, we plant a tree. So it's a very important and significant, I would say, investment for the future. But what we definitely believe in it.
Let's talk a little bit about your two careers, right? What's the difference between teaching classes and founding and running a company?
Comparing those is difficult. I will tell you this. Running a research group is there's a lot of similarities to starting a company, because when you're running a research group, you're recruiting students to that group. You're pitching your ideas to sponsors to get funding for your research. You're presenting it in a way that other people can understand the importance of what you're doing, to get it published, to publish those results. And so there's a lot of similarity, and you're always, you have a cash out date, right? As a research group, it's a continuous, you're always looking for sponsors to sponsor your research. So it's, there are a lot of similarities there. Teaching classes, that's a harder question. I'd say the one thing there is is putting out fires. You're always putting out fires in a startup. You're always putting out fires when you're teaching classes, because there's always some situation you've got to deal with a student, or something that's going on. So I'd say there's some similarities there, but from my experience, those two things are kind of worlds apart.
Let's talk about the company's mission.
Oh, great. Okay, here we go. So there's so much to talk about. So our mission is about curing the loneliness epidemic that exists in this world. So 46% of people regularly, not sometimes, not occasionally, but regularly feel lonely, which is just a kind of a terrifying percentage of people that regularly feel lonely. And among people who are Gen Zers, people who are in their kind of early 20s, we're talking about 62% of the time of people regularly feel lonely. So it's a travesty. And we know that loneliness impacts depression, it impacts anxiety, it impacts actions that people, God forbid, could take if they're severely depressed as well. So community is the solution for that. And Meetup, we have 257,000 communities in 193 countries that host around 10,000 events every single day.
So how does having a military background contribute to success in business?
I think big time. I just mentioned to you, but right before the interview, my kids are going to the Israeli Scouts. And the older one, Shaked, he's 17 years old. He was born here in the US, and he's going to go to the Israeli military next year for 3 years minimum. I didn't push him, but I'm happy that he decided to go over there, because it's going to give him, I think, the same background and mindset that I have, or people who go to the military have. It gives you, first of all, it gives you maturity. When you're 18 years old and you go directly to college, you have no idea You have no idea where you're going to. Okay, you're going to go, study business or whatever it is. What do you know when you're 21? Nothing.
So our business, we put a big focus on positive social impact.
Yeah.
Are there ways that you're promoting positive social impact within the company itself?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we love plays on the word ever active. So we have ever activism days.
Okay.
Our next one's in a couple weeks, I think. I want to say 3 weeks or 2 weeks from Friday, I want to say. But yeah, we have three sites: Ann Arbor, Charlottesville, and Santa Clara. And in all three sites, we will organize ever activism activities for the day, where everyone will basically plow all meetings for that day. We'll go and organize. We'll go and participate in some volunteer activity together. So that's one thing. We also have, let's say, charitable donations within the company. So we have a committee that oversees local charitable contributions that the company can make. We do that. We are a startup. We're venture funded, so we do that on a small scale. But we want to set the precedent there.
Purpose. Are there ways that you guys promote positive social impact within the company itself?
Oh, tremendously. I'll tell you an example of one. So in the summer of 2020, as we all remember, when George Floyd was murdered, and there was a tremendous amount of awareness around racial inequality and social justice, we started seeing dozens and then hundreds of different Black Lives Matter groups kind of spring up all around Meetup. Black Lives Matter Kansas City, Black Lives Matter Durham, North Carolina, just all of them kind of just start overnight. And we looked at that and we said, hey, there's something happening here. There's a movement happening here, and it's happening on Meetup. How do we accelerate that even further and lend a hand? So we immediately realized it, and we said, okay, we could do more than just charge them money to create these purposeful communities. And we said that any community focused on racial equality and social justice will for now on be free on Meetup. And there's been, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are now part of those communities on Meetup, because that's very, very important. When there was anti-Asian hate, et cetera, rather than just just putting a little banner up on a website like lots of other people did, or donating money, we instead said, what could we do as a community again, and rally the troops to figure out how we can really drive purpose.
Some might say that you've taken control of most means of production and distribution of your product, almost like a modern day Henry Ford. What made that a focus for you, and what are the challenges, and why aren't more businesses built that way?
Okay, so I didn't know a lot about the flooring industry when I came in. It was, like I said, it was an intersection. It's not that I had like many, industries to choose. I said, oh, this one. It was an opportunity, but as I was scraping the surface to see, because I'm coming from the diamond industry. Diamond industry is a very unique industry in a way that you don't sell value. You sell a dream, you sell an illusion. You sell pretty much, let's simplify it. You sell a glass that you tell people that's worth $1 million. Somebody dug it in the ground, right? It wasn't a house. You had to put materials and buy land, right? Somebody dug it from the ground. It came from, so you need to do a very, very unique marketing to get it. Diamonds are forever, belongs to the Beers. It's like, people remember it till today. So I came to the flooring industry and I was thinking, what's missing? What the voids? And then I found an industry that is a very old and traditional industry. And older average age people in the industry, I would say 55 and up, I would say the majority. And a low tech in a way of marketing and the way they think.